take to the streets in Kimball to protest exotic dancers at a local bar. We have the rest of the story.
You'll meet a South Dakota surgeon who uses his hands working with an instrument, but it's not only for music. And
speaking of medicine, we'll show you a new form of therapy, although some prefer to call it fun. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Sherry Kurtz.
And I'm Ted Koppy. The typical silence in the small town of Kimball has given way to the fury of controversy tonight.
A citizens group that objects to female and male dancers at a casino bar lounge took their protest to the street tonight. People fighting the dancers presented petitions Monday night against the bar's liquor license and then held a protest outside the bar. Kimball City Attorney Mike Sebastian says the City Council felt it had been misled by the bar manager, Robert Rieger, when he applied for the liquor license transfer because he said there would be no major changes at the bar. Sebastian says having dancers is a substantial change. Rieger, the lounge manager, says he may take the city to court because the council pulled his liquor license after approving it. Protesters managed to close the bar last night, but tonight, despite protests from dozens of angry people, the live show went on. In a town where live Lawrence Welk shows were once a tradition, many people say they want to preserve Kimball's decency. Well, Sioux Falls police have closed the books on almost 100 office building break-ins with the guilty plea of one man. Today, 42-year-old Jake Fulkerson pleaded guilty to grand theft and 3 burglary charges. But as part of a plea agreement, Fulkerson also admitted to several other crimes, some of which he was not even a suspect. Authorities say several local businesses reported break-ins, many resulting in the loss of petty cash last summer. Fulkerson was arrested after 2 employees saw a man breaking into their office building and called his license plate number into authorities.
Meantime, Sioux Falls Police and Minnehaha County Sheriff officials in a joint investigation have solved at least a dozen cases of burglary tonight. 18-year-old David Ernesti has been arrested on charges of burglary and aggravated assault in connection with a macing incident last month in Sioux Falls. Authorities say similar charges are expected on at least 2 other adults and several juveniles in the rash of burglaries. Some include rural and city home break-ins and the theft of more than $30,000 worth of personal property. Authorities say the cases appear to be drug-related.
Students at South Dakota's 6 state-run universities are drawing a line in the sand at their activities fees. At a news conference this afternoon, State Student Federation members announced they'll do anything they can to fight a proposal that would shift most programs under the self-imposed general activities fee, which funds things like student unions and athletic programs, to the university's support fee, which takes the money and programs out of student control. Board of Regents Director Dr. Robert Tad Perry says the change will create unity and clarity at the 6 state-run universities, but the students call it taxation.
A 3rd annual Community Service Day. Beginning at 8 this morning, groups teamed up to spruce up parks, playgrounds, and more than a dozen areas in need of spring cleaning. The fountain in McKinnon Park got a new coat of paint, while across town, the zoo was washed and scrubbed and also painted.
Feel good to contribute to the society, and it makes other people feel good knowing that you're there to help.
Every year, Augustana volunteers have helped sort donations and clean up the food bank downtown. The food bank's manager says she always has plenty of work for them to do because she knows they'll do a great job. As News 5 at 12 continues, if you want to point it out that the Midwest seems to be bucking a national trend. Economic growth in Sioux Falls is well above average at 4% compared to the nation's 2%. Dr. Sun says growth will continue, but businesses should prepare for a slowdown because labor costs here are climbing.
Businesses came here in part because of low cost of doing business. Now we are seeing higher costs of labor, higher costs of real estate, and higher cost of everything. So to some extent, the attraction which attracted businesses here in the first place, they are becoming less and less attractive. And
Sun says if economic growth is going to continue in Sioux Falls, more emphasis needs to be placed on high-tech medical and financial service industries. In World Watch tonight, there's been a big economic slowdown in the Middle East. Yasser Arafat says travel restrictions on Palestinians cost $6 million a day. Thousands can't get to work and others can't export their products. But the PLO leader will return home from Washington with a $20 million loan from the World Bank. The emergency loan follows a meeting with President Clinton at the White House. Clinton agreed to set up a joint commission to examine economic problems of the West Bank and Gaza.
Jurors in the Polly Klaas case have heard tapes of the defendant as he led California police to the 12-year-old's body. Richard Allen Davis has confessed to killing Polly Klaas. On the tape, he said he thought he'd feel better if he showed police the body. The free men will remain virtual prisoners in their compound. State and independent mediators today gave up their attempts to get them to surrender. One negotiator says the extremists are not going to give up the promise they made to God to remain until their demands are met. Well, it's been a long wait, but it sounds like area farmers are in for some good news tonight.
Plus the Music Just Prize in Broadcasting, a Peabody Award. Oh, Mr.